The sting on my left cheek burned hotter than the crystal chandeliers hanging above us. The music, that expensive string quartet playing Vivaldi, the one I had secretly paid for, stopped instantly. The silence in the ballroom was so heavy, so absolute, that you could hear the air conditioning humming in the vents and the ice melting in the untouched glasses of champagne. 130 guests were staring at me. Standing there, towering over me in her white lace designer gown that cost more than my first car, was my new daughter-in-law, Juliet. Her hand was still raised, hovering in the air, trembling with a mix of rage and adrenaline. Her chest was heaving. Her perfect makeup was starting to crack under the distortion of her anger. And my son, my Ethan, my own flesh and blood, he was standing right next to her. He didn't step in front of me to protect his mother. He didn't reach out to check if I was okay. He didn't even look at me. He just looked down at his polished Italian leather shoes, terrified of his wife, terrified of the scene, terrified of everything but the one thing that mattered, his mother's dignity. "Give me the keys, you old hag," Juliet screamed. Her voice wasn't the sweet melodic tone she used when she wanted money. It was a guttural screech that echoed off the high hand-painted ceilings. "You don't deserve that apartment. We need it. You're just wasting space." She thought she was slapping a poor, helpless widow who worked part-time at a flower shop arranging tulips for minimum wage. She thought she was taking keys to a run-down flat in an old building. She didn't know that the very building we were standing in, the hotel, the land, the ballroom, and the apartment she was so desperate to steal, belonged to me. She didn't know that I wasn't just a guest at this wedding. I was the reason it existed. And she certainly didn't know that with that one slap, she had just cost herself and my son $53,000 in the blink of an eye. Hello, dear listeners. Thank you for joining me today. Before I begin my story, and it is a long, difficult story to tell, I would be very happy if you subscribed to the channel and left a comment writing which state or country you are listening from. It always warms my heart to see how far our stories travel. It reminds me that even when we feel alone in our struggles, we are connected by our shared humanity. Enjoy listening. To understand why a bride would strike her mother-in-law on her wedding day in front of everyone she knows, we have to go back. We have to go back way before the wedding cake was cut, before the invitations were sent, even before Ethan met Juliet. My name is Aurora Hughes. I'm 68 years old. If you saw me walking down the street today, you wouldn't look twice. I blend in. I'm invisible. I drive a 2004 Honda Civic, silver, with a small dent on the rear bumper from a shopping cart incident 3 years ago. It rattles when it goes over 40 miles an hour, and the air conditioner only works when it feels like it. I wear comfortable shoes from the discount bin at the department store, the kind with the thick rubber soles, because my knees aren't what they used to be. I dye my own hair at home to cover the gray, and I spend my days arranging flowers at Petals and Thorns, a little shop on Main Street. I love the smell of that shop. Damp earth, fresh stems, the sharp scent of eucalyptus, and the sweet perfume of lilies. It keeps me grounded. It reminds me of where I came from. You see, I wasn't always wealthy, and I wasn't always alone. My husband, Robert, God rest his beautiful soul, was the love of my life. We started with nothing, truly nothing. When we got married 45 years ago, we lived in a basement apartment that smelled like mildew and boiled cabbage. Robert worked 2 jobs, construction in the day and security at night. I scrubbed floors and waited tables. We saved every penny. We didn't eat out. We didn't take vacations. We just worked. And we saved. And we dreamed. Robert was brilliant. He had a mind for numbers and a vision for the future. He saw potential where other people saw ruin. When the city was nothing but dirt roads and cornfields, Robert started buying land. Just small plots at first. Then run-down houses that he fixed up with his own 2 hands. I was right there beside him, sanding floors, painting walls, hanging drywall until my fingers bled. We built an empire, brick by brick. Over 40 years, we amassed a fortune. Millions, honey. Real estate, stocks, bonds. We owned entire city blocks. But here is the thing about Robert and me. We never forgot the basement apartment. We never forgot the smell of mildew. We saw what money did to people. We saw our friends get rich and lose their families. We saw greed tear apart neighborhoods. So we made a pact. We decided to live quietly. We didn't want fake friends. We didn't want people loving us for our checkbook. We wanted to be loved for who we were. So when Robert passed away 5 years ago from a sudden heart attack, I was devastated. My world ended. But I kept our promise. I kept our secret. I stayed in our modest-looking apartment building downtown. To the outside world, I was just the widow Hughes in apartment 4B who clipped coupons for grocery store discounts and complained about the rising cost of milk. Nobody knew that I owned the building. Nobody knew that when I wrote a check for $20 at the grocery store, I could have bought the entire store without blinking. But then, there was Ethan. Ethan is my only son, my miracle baby. I loved that boy with a ferocity that scared me sometimes. I remember rocking him on the front porch when he had colic, singing "You Are My Sunshine" until my throat was dry and the sun came up. I wanted to give him the world. And maybe that was my first mistake. Robert and I tried to raise him right. We taught him the value of hard work. He had chores, he had a paper route. But as he got older, I saw changes in him. He liked the finer things. He resented our simple life. He didn't know about the millions in the bank. He only saw the 2004 Honda Civic and felt embarrassed. "Why can't we get a new car, Mom?" he would ask when he was 16. "Why do we live in this old building? Dad works all the time. Where does the money go?" We told him we were saving for his future. We told him security was better than luxury. But he didn't listen. He just wanted to fit in with the rich kids at his private school, the one we sacrificed to send him to. When Robert died, Ethan drifted even further away. He barely came around. He was chasing get-rich-quick schemes, trying to be a crypto investor, trying to live a lifestyle he hadn't earned. And then he met Juliet. I remember the first time I met her. It was about 2 years ago. Ethan called me, sounding excited for the first time in months. "Mom, you have to meet her," he said. "She's the one. She's classy. She's sophisticated. She's everything." We met for lunch at a bistro downtown. I arrived early, as I always do. When they walked in, heads turned. Juliet was beautiful. I'll give her that. Sharp, angular features, blonde hair that looked like spun gold, and eyes the color of ice. She walked like she owned the place. But the moment she saw me sitting in the booth, wearing my knitted cardigan, the one with the wooden buttons, her smile faltered. just for a second. It was a micro-expression of disgust, gone as quickly as it came, replaced by a fake, sugary smile. "Mrs. Hughes," she chirped, extending a manicured hand. "Ethan has told me so much about you." I shook her hand. It was cold, limp. "Please, call me Aurora," I said warmly. "It is lovely to meet you, Juliet." We sat down. Throughout the lunch, Juliet dominated the conversation. She talked about her job as a brand consultant, though I couldn't quite figure out what she actually did. She talked about her travels to Paris and Milan. She talked about the importance of image. "Ethan tells me you work at a flower shop," she asked, picking at her salad like it might bite her. "Yes," I smiled. "I love the flowers. It brings me joy." She exchanged a look with Ethan, a look that said, "How pathetic." "That's quaint," Juliet said. "But don't you find it exhausting, standing on your feet all day at your age? Surely Ethan could help you out if you need money." Ethan turned red. He knew he couldn't help me out. He was barely paying his own rent. "I manage," I said simply. "I enjoy the work." When we left the restaurant, the valet brought around my Honda.
It was sputtering a bit that day. The muffler was making a noise like a dying lawnmower. Juliet actually laughed, a sharp, barking laugh. "Oh my God, Ethan, is that her car? Is she serious?" She didn't whisper. She said it right in front of me. "It gets me from point A to point B," I said, taking my keys from the valet. "It's a safety hazard, Aurora," Juliet said, wrinkling her nose. "You really should have better standards. It reflects poorly on Ethan." I looked at my son, waiting for him to defend me, waiting for him to say, "Hey, don't talk to my mom like that." But he just shuffled his feet. "Yeah, Mom, it is kind of embarrassing. Maybe we can look for something used but newer for you." That was the beginning. That was the first crack in my heart. But I swallowed it. I told myself she was young. I told myself she was just brutally honest. I told myself that if Ethan loved her, I would learn to love her too. Over the next 2 years, things went from bad to worse. They were always struggling, or so they said. Ethan would come to my apartment late at night, smelling of stress and cheap cologne, with his head in his hands. "Mom, the credit card bill is due," he would groan. "Juliet needs the stress for a networking event. It's an investment in her career. If she doesn't look the part, she won't get the clients. We're going to be evicted if I don't pay the rent this week." And because a mother's heart is a treacherous thing, because I couldn't bear to see my boy suffer, I helped. But I had to be careful. I couldn't just whip out a checkbook and write a check for $10,000 without blowing my cover. I had to maintain the illusion of being the poor widow. So I got creative. I lied to my own son to help him. I'd tell Ethan, "Oh, honey, look what happened. I found an old savings bond Robert bought in the 80s that finally matured." Or, "My boss at the flower shop gave me a very generous Christmas bonus because we had a record year." I paid off his student loans, $40,000, bit by bit. I paid their car notes. When they wanted to move into the Skyline Towers, the most exclusive apartment complex in the city, they didn't qualify. Their credit scores were terrible. So I set up a dummy corporation, Blue Heron Holdings, and I acted as their guarantor. I signed the papers that said if they didn't pay, the company would. And since I was the company, I paid their rent almost every other month. They lived in a $3,000 a month apartment with a view of the river, while I lived in my old flat with a view of the alley. And they thought they were just lucky. They thought the world was finally giving them a break. They didn't know their luck was me sitting at my kitchen table at 2 a.m., wearing my reading glasses, signing checks with a trembling hand, praying that one day they would stand on their own 2 feet. But the more I gave,
the more they took. And the more they took, the less they respected me. It was a paradox. Because they thought I was poor, they treated me like a burden. Yet they were surviving solely because of my hidden wealth. Then came the engagement. Ethan proposed to Juliet on a yacht.
A yacht rental that I paid for, though he told Juliet he won it in a raffle. When they came to tell me the news, Juliet was flashing a ring that cost more than my annual salary at the flower shop, another bill I had quietly paid off on Ethan's credit card. "We're getting married," Juliet squealed, drinking my tea but refusing my homemade cookies because of gluten. "I'm very happy for you both," I said, and I tried to mean it, truly. "Have you thought about a date?" "Next June," Juliet said decisively, "and we know exactly where. The Grand Hotel, the Gold Ballroom." My heart stopped. The Grand Hotel was my crown jewel. It was the first major commercial property Robert and I had purchased 20 years ago. I owned it. I knew the staff. I knew the cost. "That is very expensive, Juliet," I said gently. "Maybe something smaller, more intimate?" Her eyes snapped to mine. "I am not having a backyard wedding, Aurora. I am not you. I have standards. My friends expect the best. This is my day." "But how will you afford it?" I asked, looking at Ethan. "We'll figure it out," Ethan said quickly, avoiding my eyes. "We're going to ask Juliet's parents for help, and, well, we were hoping you might have some savings stashed away, maybe something Dad left." "Ethan," I said, "I live on a budget." "Just check, Mom," he snapped. "You never know." In the end, Juliet's parents contributed nothing. They were leveraged to the hilt, living a life on credit just like their daughter.
The burden fell on Ethan, which meant it fell on me. They booked the Grand Hotel. The cost was astronomical. $53,000 for the reception alone. Food, drink, venue, service. Plus the flowers, the band, the photographer. Ethan came to me 3 months before the wedding, pale as a ghost, shaking. "We can't do it, Mom. We have to cancel. But Juliet, she says she'll leave me if I don't give her this wedding. She says I'm a failure." I looked at my boy. He looked so defeated, so broken by this woman's demands. I couldn't watch his heart break. So I made a call. I called the hotel manager, Mr. Henderson, a wonderful man who had worked for me for 15 years and knew who I really was. "Mr. Henderson," I said over the phone, "Ethan Hughes is booking the Gold Ballroom." "Yes, Mrs. Hughes, we have the reservation." "Apply the family discount," I said. "Mrs. Hughes, that makes it free," he whispered. "No," I said. "Don't make it free. They won't appreciate it. Tell them you can offer a special promotional rate, something manageable for the deposit, and bill the rest. Bill the remaining $53,000 to my private trust, the Robert and Aurora Trust." "Are you sure, ma'am?" Mr. Henderson asked. "That is a lot of money." "I'm sure," I said, closing my eyes. "It's for my son." So the wedding was on. Juliet was triumphant. She bragged to everyone about how she negotiated a deal with the hotel because she was such a powerful influencer. She took all the credit. I said nothing. But it wasn't enough for Juliet. It was never enough. As the wedding grew closer, her greed shifted targets. She became obsessed with my apartment. My building, as I mentioned, is in the historic district. Over the last decade, that neighborhood has gentrified. It's trendy now. Hipsters and young professionals want to live there. Property values have skyrocketed. My modest apartment was now worth a small fortune, and it was spacious. 3 bedrooms, high ceilings, original hardwood floors. "Why does she need 3 bedrooms?" I heard Juliet complain at a Sunday dinner, stabbing her fork into her roast beef like she was stabbing me.
She's one person. She's old. She can barely walk up the stairs. We have an elevator, Juliet, I reminded her softly. That's not the point, she snapped. We're starting a family. We need space. You should be in a retirement home, somewhere with nurses and soft food. I am perfectly capable of taking care of myself, I said, my grip tightening on my water glass. For now, she said ominously, but Ethan and I discussed it. It makes financial sense. You move out, we move in. We stop paying rent at the tower, and we can save money. It's the only logical solution. Ethan, I asked, looking at him, is this what you want? To kick your mother out of her home?
Ethan mumbled into his potatoes. It's not kicking you out, Mom. It's downsizing. Juliet thinks it would be safer for you. And the apartment is, well, it's a prime location. It's wasted on just you. Wasted. That word hung in the air. My life, my memories of Robert, my sanctuary. Wasted. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I just finished my dinner in silence while Juliet talked about the renovations she would do. She wanted to knock down the wall where Robert's favorite bookshelf stood. She wanted to paint over the hand-carved molding we had restored together. I went home that night and cried until I had no tears left. But even then, I didn't plan revenge. Not yet. I still held out hope. I thought, maybe on the wedding day they will soften. Maybe when they see what I've done for them, they will show some gratitude. I was a fool, a loving, blind, optimistic fool. Because the wedding day didn't bring gratitude. It brought the end of my life as I knew it.
The morning of the wedding, the sky was a brilliant, piercing blue. It was the kind of day brides pray for. No clouds, a gentle breeze, the sun shining like a gold coin in the sky. But inside my apartment, the air felt heavy. It felt like the calm before a hurricane. I woke up at 5 a.m., unable to sleep. I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of Earl Grey tea, staring at the empty chair across from me where Robert used to sit. I ran my hand over the smooth wood of the table. Robert, I whispered into the silence, give me strength today. I think I'm going to need it. I had spent weeks agonizing over what to wear. I knew Juliet wanted me to be invisible. She had made suggestions, beige pantsuits, shapeless gray dresses that looked like something a prison warden would wear. But I have my pride. I am Aurora Hughes, and I would not attend my only son's wedding looking like a shadow. I chose a dress I had owned for 10 years. It was a navy blue silk, cut on the bias, with long sleeves and a modest neckline. It was elegant, timeless. It was the dress I wore to our 40th anniversary dinner with Robert. When I put it on, zipped it up, and pinned a simple pearl brooch to the lapel, I looked in the mirror. I didn't see a rich woman. I didn't see a poor woman. I just saw a mother who was trying her best. I drove my rattling Honda to the Grand Hotel.
As I pulled up to the valet, the young man at the stand, a boy named David, whom I had helped get a scholarship last year, smiled wide. "Good morning, Mrs. Hughes," he beamed, opening my car door. "You look lovely today." "Thank you, David," I whispered, slipping him a $20 tip. "Please keep it quiet today. I'm just Ethan's mom today." He winked. "Understood. Enjoy the party." I walked into the lobby, my lobby. I looked at the marble floors I had picked out in Italy. I looked at the massive floral arrangements in the center of the room, lilies and hydrangeas, that my shop,
petals and thorns, had provided at a steep discount. A strange feeling washed over me. It is a peculiar thing to walk through a kingdom you own, while everyone treats you like a peasant. I made my way up to the bridal suite. I wanted to see Ethan. I wanted to hug him before the madness began. I wanted to give him the cufflinks that had belonged to his grandfather. Gold, simple, sturdy. When I opened the door to the suite, chaos hit me like a wall of sound. Hair dryers were blowing, champagne corks were popping, and 5 bridesmaids in dusty pink dresses were running around like headless chickens. In the center of it all sat Juliet. She was in a silk robe, shouting at a makeup artist. "No, not that shade of lipstick. It makes me look washed out. Are you stupid? Do you know who I am?" The poor girl applying the makeup looked like she was about to cry. I stepped further into the room. "Juliet, is Ethan here?" Juliet spun around in her chair. Her hair was half done, curlers sticking out like antennas. Her eyes narrowed as she scanned me from head to toe. She didn't say hello. She didn't smile. "You're not wearing that, are you?" she hissed. The room went silent. The bridesmaids stopped talking. The hairdryers seemed to power down. "It's my best dress, Juliet," I said, clutching my purse. "It's silk." "It's blue," she spat. "The bridesmaids are in dusty pink. The theme is blush and gold. You look like a bruise. You look like the help." I felt the heat rise in my cheeks. I am the mother of the groom. I think navy is perfectly appropriate. "Whatever." She waved her hand dismissively, turning back to the mirror. "Just stay in the back during photos. I don't want that dark blob ruining my aesthetic." "And where is Ethan? I sent him to get me more mimosa ingredients 20 minutes ago. That man is useless." My heart squeezed. Useless. That's what she called the man she was about to marry. "I have something for him," I said, pulling the small velvet box from my bag. "His grandfather's cufflinks." Juliet saw the box. Her eyes lit up for a fraction of a second. Greed is a powerful reflex. But when I opened it to reveal the simple, understated gold squares, her face fell. "Oh," she said flatly. "They're old?" "They are vintage," I corrected. "They have history." "Well, he's not wearing them," she said. "I bought him diamond-encrusted ones to match my tiara."
Put those away and get out. You're crowding the room." I stood there for a moment, the velvet box heavy in my hand. I wanted to say so many things. I wanted to say, "These cufflinks are worth more in sentiment than your entire life." I wanted to say, "I am the one paying for this suite you are sitting in." But I didn't. I just closed the box, turned around, and walked out. I found Ethan in the hallway, carrying a crate of orange juice. He looked sweaty and panicked. "Mom," he gasped, "you're here." "I tried to give you these," I said, handing him the box, but Juliet said no. Ethan looked at the box. He knew what was inside. He touched the velvet lid tenderly. For a second, I saw my son. I saw the boy who used to cry when he scraped his knee. "Grandpa's links," he whispered. "Wear them, Ethan," I pleaded softly. "Please, for yourself." He looked at the door of the bridal suite, then back at me. He shoved the box deep into his pocket. I can't, Mom. She'll notice. I'll keep them safe, though. I promise." He hurried past me into the room, and I was left standing alone in the hallway of my own hotel. The ceremony was held in the garden courtyard.
It was visually stunning. White chairs arranged in perfect rows, an archway covered in thousands of white roses, my roses, and a string quartet playing soft, classical music. I was ushered to my seat. Traditionally, the mother of the groom sits in the first row, on the right.
But when the usher, a girl with a headset and a clipboard, looked at my name, she frowned. "Mrs. Hughes? Yes, you're here." She led me past the first row, past the second, past the third. "Excuse me," I whispered. "Where are we going?" "The bride requested the immediate family seating be reserved for the bridal party and her family," the usher said, not making eye contact. "You are seated in row 5. Row 5, behind Juliet's college roommates, behind her influencer friends who were live streaming the event on their phones. I was sitting so far back I could barely see the altar. When the music swelled and Juliet walked down the aisle, everyone stood up. She looked radiant. I cannot deny that. The dress was magnificent, a strapless ball gown with a 10-foot train. She looked like a princess. But as she passed me, she didn't look at Ethan. She was looking at the cameras. She was posing. When they reached the altar, the priest began. The vows were revealing. Ethan's vows were written on a crumpled piece of paper. His voice shook. "Juliet, you are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. You push me to be successful. You make me want to have more, to be more. I promise to work hard for us." It sounded like a job interview, not a marriage vow. Then it was Juliet's turn. She didn't have paper. She spoke from memory, loudly, for the back row. "Ethan, when I met you, I saw potential. I saw a project I could mold. I promised to guide you, to manage our life, and to ensure we reach the status we deserve. I promised to be the queen to your king, as long as you provide the castle." People chuckled. They thought she was being witty. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. She wasn't joking. She was stating the terms of a contract. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the priest said. They kissed. The crowd cheered. I clapped, my hands feeling numb. As they walked back down the aisle, Ethan finally locked eyes with me. He gave me a small, sad smile, a smile that said, "Help me." But it was too late. He had said, "I do." The reception was held in the gold ballroom. It is the jewel of the hotel. High ceilings painted with cherubs, massive crystal chandeliers that cost $20,000 each to clean, and walls lined with gold leaf. I stood by the entrance, greeting guests who didn't know who I was. Most of them were Juliet's friends, loud, flashy people who talked about cryptocurrency and vacations in Dubai. They looked at my Honda key on the table and smirked. "Cute grandma," I heard one man say. "Is she the nanny?" When it was time for dinner, I looked for my table card. I walked around the room, scanning the numbers. Table 1, the head table. Table 2, Juliet's parents. Table 3, Ethan's wealthy friends from college. I kept walking. Table 10, Table 15. Finally, I found it. Table 19. It was placed in the far corner of the room, right next to the swinging double doors of the kitchen. Every time a waiter came out with a tray of hot food, the door banged open, and a waft of steam and noise hit me. And to make matters worse, it was also right next to the restrooms. I could hear the hand dryers running every few minutes. I sat down. The other people at my table were a mismatch of unwanted guests, an old neighbor of Juliet's she hadn't seen in 10 years, a distant cousin from Ohio who smelled like cigarettes, and the photographer's assistant who was eating a quick meal. "Nice seat, huh?" the cousin grunted, tearing into a bread roll.
It's lovely, I lied, placing my napkin on my lap. The dinner service began. Filet mignon and lobster tail. $53,000 worth of food. I took a bite of the steak. It was perfectly cooked, tender and flavorful. My chefs did a wonderful job. It tasted like ash in my mouth. I watched the head table. Juliet was laughing, throwing her head back, drinking champagne glass after glass. Ethan was drinking too, but he looked less like he was celebrating and more like he was numbing himself. Then came the speeches. Juliet's father, a man who owed the IRS more money than he made in a year, stood up. "To my daughter," he bellowed, "who always gets what she wants. And to Ethan, you better keep her in the lifestyle she's accustomed to, son, or I'll come after you." Everyone laughed. I didn't.
Then the DJ announced the mother-son dance. My heart fluttered. This was it. This was my moment with him. I stood up, smoothing my blue dress. I walked toward the dance floor, a small smile on my face. Ethan met me in the middle. He looked unsteady. He smelled of whiskey. "Hi, Mom," he slurred slightly. "Hi, honey," I said, taking his hand. The music started. It wasn't the song I had suggested, a song for Mama. It was some generic, fast-paced pop song that made it hard to slow dance. "I didn't pick this," Ethan apologized, swaying awkwardly. "It's okay," I said. I looked up at him. "Ethan, are you happy?" He looked over my shoulder at Juliet, who was watching us like a hawk from the head table. She made a gesture, tapping her wrist. "Hurry up." I think so, Mom," he said. She's intense. But she has big plans for us." "Plans that involve my apartment?" I asked quietly. Ethan stiffened. He stopped moving. "Mom? Please, not now. Don't ruin this." "I'm not ruining anything, Ethan. I'm asking why your wife wants to evict your mother." "It's not eviction," he hissed, his voice rising. "It's business. God, why do you have to be so difficult? Why can't you just be happy for me?" He pulled away from me before the song was even finished. "I can't do this right now." He turned and walked off the dance floor, leaving me standing there alone under the spotlight. The music faded out awkwardly. A few people clapped politely, confused. I walked back to table 19, my vision blurred by tears I refused to let fall. I sat down and stared at the kitchen door swinging back and forth. Swish, bang, swish, bang. I should have left then. I should have walked out, driven my Honda home, and locked the door. But something kept me there, a feeling, a resolve. I wanted to see how far they would go. 2 hours later, the party was in full swing. The tie was off Ethan's neck. Juliet had swapped her heels for jeweled sneakers. The bar tab was running high. I was sipping a glass of water, watching the guests dance, when I saw them coming. Juliet was leading the way. She walked with a purpose, a stagger in her step, but a fire in her eyes. She held a glass of red wine in one hand, sloshing it dangerously close to her white dress. Ethan was trailing behind her, looking like a prisoner walking to the gallows. They weren't coming to say thank you. They weren't coming to say goodbye. They were coming for the kill. Juliet stopped right in front of my table. She loomed over me. Her face was flushed,
her lipstick smudged. "Aurora," she said loudly. The music was thumping, but her voice cut through it. "We need to settle this, now." "Settle what, Juliet?" I asked, looking up at her calmly. "The living situation," she said, slamming her wine glass down on the table. Wine splashed onto the white tablecloth, staining it red like blood. "We are not going back to that cramped apartment of ours.
And we can't afford the rent anyway, thanks to this wedding." The wedding I paid for? I thought, but I didn't say it. Not yet. "So here is the deal," Juliet continued, leaning in close. I could smell the alcohol and the expensive perfume, a nauseating mix. "You are going to hand over the keys to your place tonight. Ethan has the paperwork in the car. You sign the deed over to us. We'll put you in a nice assisted living facility in the suburbs. It's better for you. You won't have to worry about stairs or thinking." I am 68, Juliet, not 90, and I am not invalid. "You are in the way," she shouted. The people at the nearby tables stopped talking. The cousin from Ohio stopped chewing his bread. "Ethan," I looked at my son, "is this what you want? To put your mother in a home so you can have her apartment?" Ethan looked at his shoes, always the shoes. "Mom, look, Juliet thinks, and I agree, that maybe it's time you downsized. The apartment is worth a lot of money. We could use the equity to start a business, to build a future." "My home is not your piggy bank, Ethan," I said, my voice trembling with a mix of sorrow and rage. "You selfish old woman," Juliet screamed. It was a scream that stopped the band. The drummer missed a beat. The singer went quiet. The room began to hush. Eyes turned toward table 19. "You have nothing," Juliet ranted, waving her arms. "You sit there in your cheap dress, driving your junk car, hoarding a 3-bedroom apartment in the historic district. You contribute nothing to society. We are young. We are the future. You are just decaying." "Juliet, stop," Ethan whispered, touching her arm. "No!" She shoved him away. "I'm tired of waiting. She needs to learn her place." She turned back to me, her eyes wild. "Give me the keys, right now." I stood up. I faced her. I was shorter than her, older than her, and dressed in old clothes. But in that moment, I felt 10 feet tall. "No," I said. My voice was low, but it carried in the silence of the room. "What did you say?" she whispered. "I said no. That is my home. Robert and I built that life. You will not take it." Juliet's face twisted. It was ugly, pure, unfiltered malice. "You don't get to say no to me," she hissed. "It's my wedding day." And then she raised her hand. Time seemed to slow down. I saw the movement. I saw the flash of the diamond ring on her finger. I saw Ethan's eyes widen in horror. I didn't move. I didn't flinch. I let it happen. Smack. The sound was sickeningly loud.
It was a sharp crack that seemed to hang in the air, vibrating against the crystal glasses on the tables. My head snapped to the right. My cheek burned with a searing heat, pulsating in time with my heartbeat. But the physical pain was nothing, truly nothing, compared to the sensation of my heart finally shattering into dust. For a moment, the world stopped. The band had stopped playing. The waiters stood frozen with trays of half-eaten steak. The guests, all 130 of them, were staring with their mouths open. You could hear the air conditioning humming. You could hear the ice melting.
It severed the last thread of hope I had been holding on to. The cord was cut. I didn't cry.
The tears that had been threatening to fall all evening suddenly evaporated. A cold calm washed over me. It was a feeling I hadn't felt in years. Not since Robert and I sat in a boardroom facing down a hostile takeover of one of our companies in the 90s. It was the ice-cold clarity of business. I straightened my spine. I smoothed the front of my navy blue silk dress. I looked at Juliet, not with anger, but with pity. "You should not have done that," I said. My voice was quiet, steady, and terrifyingly calm. Juliet laughed. It was a nervous, high-pitched sound. "Or what? What are you going to do? Call the police? Go ahead. It's my word against yours, and everyone knows you're a senile old woman who provoked me." "No," I said, reaching into my small beaded handbag. "I'm not calling the police. I don't need the police to handle you." I pulled out my phone. My hands were steady. I dialed the number I had on speed dial, a number I hadn't used for business in 5 years. "Who are you calling?" Juliet sneered, crossing her arms. "The retirement home? Tell them to get a room ready." I ignored her. "Carlos, it's Aurora. Yes, it's time. Bring the folder and bring security." I hung up and placed the phone gently on the table, right next to the wine stain. "Carlos," Juliet mocked. "Who is Carlos? Your bingo partner?" I didn't answer.
I just stood there, staring at the double doors at the back of the ballroom. "Answer me!" Juliet shrieked, slamming her hand on the table again. "Don't ignore me. Give me the keys to the apartment. I want them now." "You want the apartment?" I asked softly. "Yes, it's the least you can do after ruining my mood." "And you think you deserve it?" "I deserve everything," she yelled, spinning around to address the crowd. "I have worked hard to elevate this family. Look at this wedding. Look at this venue. I made this happen." The double doors burst open. The sound was heavy, authoritative. 2 large men in black suits, hotel security, walked in first. They flanked the door, and then, walking between them, was Carlos. Carlos Rivera has been my attorney and financial manager for 20 years. He is a sharp man, impeccably dressed in a tailored gray suit, carrying a thick leather briefcase. He walked with a purpose that commanded respect. He didn't look at the guests. He looked straight at me. The crowd parted for him like the Red Sea. He walked past table 5, past table 10, straight to table 19 in the corner by the kitchen. "Mrs. Hughes," Carlos said, nodding respectfully. He ignored Juliet completely. "Are you all right?" "I have been better, Carlos," I said, touching my cheek. "But we have business to conclude." Juliet looked confused. Her arrogance wavered for a second. "Who is this? Why is security here?" Carlos turned to her slowly.
He looked her up and down with the cool detachment of a man who evicts people for a living. "I am Mrs. Hughes's attorney, and you must be the young woman who just assaulted my client." "Assault?" Juliet scoffed. "It was a family dispute. And who pays for an attorney like you? Her? She sells flowers for minimum wage." I stepped out from behind the table. I walked toward the small stage where the band was set up. "Carlos, the microphone, please." The lead singer, a young man who looked terrified, quickly handed me the microphone. Carlos stooped beside me on the stage, placing his briefcase on a stool. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said. My voice boomed through the speakers, crisp and clear. The feedback whine died down. "I apologize for the interruption to your dinner." Juliet stormed toward the stage, Ethan trailing behind her. "Get down! You're embarrassing me! Stop this right now!" "Security," I said calmly into the mic. The 2 large men stepped in front of the stage, blocking Juliet's path. She stopped, shocked. "Excuse me? I am the bride. This is my wedding." "Actually," I said, looking down at her from the stage, "it's not." "What?"
I nodded to Carlos. He opened the leather briefcase and pulled out a blue folder. He handed it to me. "You see, Juliet," I began, opening the folder. You have spent the last 2 years mocking me. You have mocked my car. You have mocked my clothes. You have mocked my job. You called me poor. You called me a burden. I pulled out a document. You slapped me because you wanted the keys to my apartment. You said I was wasting space in a building I couldn't possibly afford. I held the document up. This is the deed to the building at 404 Oak Street, the building where I live, the building where you wanted to live. I paused. The room was silent. I don't pay rent, Juliet. I own the building. I own every brick, every window, and every floorboard. I bought it in 1998. A gasp rippled through the room. I saw Juliet's mouth drop open. Ethan looked like he had been punched in the gut. But, Juliet stammered. That's impossible. You drive a Honda. I like my Honda, I said simply. But since we are clearing the air, let's continue. I pulled out another document. You are currently standing in the gold ballroom of the Grand Hotel. You screamed at the staff earlier today because the champagne wasn't chilled enough. You told the manager he would be fired if he didn't obey you. I looked over at Mr. Henderson, the hotel manager, who was standing by the exit. Mr. Henderson, who signs your paycheck?
Henderson stepped forward, straightened his tie, and said loudly, "You do, Mrs. Hughes. You are the sole proprietor of the Grand Hotel Group." The gasp from the crowd turned into a roar of whispers. People were standing up now. Phones were out, recording. "No," Juliet whispered, shaking her head. "That's a lie. Ethan, tell her she's lying." Ethan looked up at me. His eyes were filled with tears. "Mom, you own the hotel?" "I own the hotel, Ethan," I said, my voice hardening, "and the floral shop, and the leasing company that you rent your car from, and the holding company that guaranteed your apartment lease at Skyline Towers." "Blue Heron Holdings?" Ethan gasped. That's you?" "Blue Heron, my favorite bird. Yes, Ethan, that is me." I looked back at Juliet. She looked small now. The alcohol seemed to have evaporated from her system, leaving her cold and sober. "For years," I continued, my voice echoing off the walls, "I have watched you two struggle, and I have helped. I paid your credit card bills, Ethan, when you spent $5,000 on watches. I paid your rent, Juliet, when you wanted to play socialite instead of working. I paid for your car repairs. I paid for your vacations." I thought we were just lucky," Ethan whispered. "Luck is when preparation meets opportunity," I said. "You didn't have luck. You had a mother who loved you too much to let you fail. Until tonight." I turned to Carlos. "Carlos, what is the total cost of tonight's event?" Carlos consulted a ledger. $53,450, Mrs. Hughes, including the premium bar package the bride added an hour ago. "And who paid for that?" "A check was issued from the Robert and Aurora Trust this morning." "Juliet," I said, looking her dead in the eye, "you slapped the face of the woman who wrote that check. You bit the hand that feeds you. And I think you'll find that hand has withdrawn its support." I tore the check from the folder, a copy of the one I had written, and ripped it in half. The sound of the tearing paper was amplified by the microphone. Rip! "Carlos, initiate the clean slate protocol." "Yes, ma'am," Carlos said, pulling out his phone. "I am canceling the payment for the wedding reception immediately. I am terminating the lease guarantee on their apartment at Skyline Towers effective tomorrow. I am freezing the supplemental credit cards issued to Even Hughes." "You can't do that," Juliet shrieked, her voice cracking. "We're married. We have rights. You can't just stop paying." "I am not a bank, Juliet," I said coldly. "I am a mother, and a mother's job is to teach her children how to survive. You seem to think survival means taking from others. Tonight, you learn what it means to pay your own way." "Mr. Henderson," I called out. "Yes, Mrs. Hughes? Since the payment for this party has been withdrawn and the clients, Mr. and Mrs.
Hughes Jr., do not have the funds to cover it? What is the hotel policy?" Mr. Henderson didn't hesitate. He walked to the center of the room. The policy is strict, ma'am. Payment is due upon services rendered. If payment cannot be made, he signaled to the security team, the event is terminated immediately. No! Juliet screamed. She ran toward me, but the security guard blocked her easily. You're ruining my wedding! You're ruining my life! You jealous, bitter old witch! I didn't ruin your life, Juliet, I said, my voice heavy with sadness. Greed ruined your life. Disrespect ruined your life. I looked at Ethan. He was on his knees now, literally on his knees, holding his head in his hands. Mom, he sobbed. Mom, please, stop. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I looked at him, and for a second my heart wavered. I wanted to run to him. I wanted to fix it. That is what mothers do. We fix things. We kiss the boo-boos. We pay the bills. But then I felt the sting on my cheek. I remembered him checking her hand. I remembered 2 years of silence while she mocked me. I know you're sorry, Ethan, I said softly into the microphone. But sorry doesn't pay the bill. I placed the microphone back on the stand. The party is over, I announced to the room. I suggest everyone go home. The bride and groom have some financial matters to discuss with the police if they can't settle their tab. I took the folder from Carlos. I took my handbag.
And I walked down the stairs of the stage. The room was silent. As I walked down the center aisle toward the exit, people pulled back. They looked at me with fear, with awe. Some of them, the ones who had been ignored by Juliet, looked at me with respect. I walked past Juliet. She was sobbing, mascara running down her face, screaming at her father to do something. Her father was busy trying to sneak out the side door. I walked past Ethan. He didn't look up. I walked out the double doors into the cool night air. The valet, David, was waiting with my Honda. Mrs. Hughes? He asked, seeing my face. Is everything okay? Everything is perfect, David, I said, taking my keys. Everything is finally balanced. I got into my rattling 2004 Honda Civic. I started the engine, and I drove away, leaving the chaos, the crying, and the dead behind me. The drive home that night was the quietest drive of my life. My old Honda rattled down the highway, the street lights passing by like blurry stars. My cheeks still throbbed, a dull ache that reminded me I was alive. But my chest felt lighter than it had in years. The heavy stone of secrecy, the burden of supporting people who despised me, it was gone, left behind on the sticky floor of a ballroom I owned. When I unlocked the door to my apartment, my beautiful, spacious apartment in the historic district, I didn't turn on the lights immediately. I walked to the window and looked out at the city. Somewhere out there in that glowing skyline, my son was likely arguing with hotel security. Somewhere out there, a marriage was crumbling before it had even survived its first sunset. I made myself a cup of chamomile tea. I sat in Robert's leather armchair, and for the first time in a long time, I slept without worrying about a credit card bill. The next morning, the phone began to ring. It rang and rang. I didn't answer. I knew who it was. I checked the caller ID. Ethan, Juliet, unknown number, Ethan. I unplugged the landline. I turned off my cell phone. I spent the day in my garden, pruning my roses. The thorns were sharp, but they were honest. You know where you stand with a rosebush. If you touch it wrong, it pricks you. It doesn't smile at you while it bleeds you dry. The real fallout began on Monday morning. I went to Carlos's office. He was waiting for me with a stack of papers and a grim smile. "It was a busy weekend, Aurora," he said, pouring me a coffee.
Tell me, I said, taking a sip. Well, Carlos began, opening a file. Mr. Henderson followed your instructions to the letter. When the payment for the reception was withdrawn, he presented the bill to the groom. $53,000. Obviously, they couldn't pay. Juliet tried to offer her ring as collateral, but it turns out the ring is a cubic zirconia. I gasped. What? Ethan bought a fake, Carlos said. He couldn't afford the real diamond she wanted, so he bought a high-quality fake and told her it was real. She found out when the hotel appraiser looked at it Saturday night. I hear the screaming could be heard from the parking lot. I shook my head. Lies built upon lies. So, Carlos continued, the hotel has taken legal action. They are suing the couple for theft of services. But that is the least of their worries. I executed the eviction notice for the Skyline Tower apartment this morning. Since Blue Heron Holdings is no longer the guarantor, the management company gave them 3 days to vacate. They have no credit, Aurora. No landlord in the city will touch them. Where will they go? I asked. The mother in me flickered, just for a second. Juliet's parents refused to take them in, Carlos said. Apparently her father is furious about the embarrassment at the wedding.
He told Juliet she made her bed and she has to lie in it. Last I heard, they are staying at a cheap motel on the interstate. Good, I said, and I meant it. And the lawsuit? Ah, yes, Carlos sighed. They have hired a lawyer, a cheap one. They are filing a suit against you for breach of verbal contract and intentional infliction of emotional distress. They are claiming you promised to pay for the wedding and that your withdrawal caused them mental anguish. They are also, they are hinting that they want to challenge your mental competency. They want to claim you are senile and that I manipulated you. I laughed. I actually laughed. Let them try. The legal battle lasted 3 months. It was a circus. Juliet went on social media trying to paint me as the villain. She posted videos crying, saying her evil billionaire mother-in-law ruined her special day. She tried to get the internet to hate me. But the internet is a funny place. Someone, I suspect one of the waiters from the hotel, leaked the video of the slap. The video went viral overnight. Millions of views. You could see it clearly. Me sitting quietly, Juliet screaming, and then smack. And then the mic drop moment where I revealed I owned the hotel. The comment section turned on her instantly. Team Aurora became a hashtag. People were cheering for the boss grandma. Juliet had to delete her accounts. She couldn't show her face in public. When we finally went to court, it was short.
The judge watched the video. He looked at my financial records, which showed years of generosity. He looked at the text messages, where Juliet called me the old hag to her friends. Case dismissed, the judge said, banging his gavel. And Mrs. Hughes, if you would like to file a countersuit for assault, I would be happy to sign it. I declined. I didn't want their money. They didn't have any anyway. I just wanted peace. The marriage didn't survive the winter. Once the money was gone, the love evaporated. Juliet realized Ethan was not a golden ticket. He was an anchor. She filed for divorce 4 months after the wedding. She cited irreconcilable differences, but we all knew the difference was in the bank account. She moved to another state, Texas, I think. Rumor has it she's looking for a wealthy cattle rancher now. Bless his heart, whoever he is. And Ethan? Ethan hit rock bottom. He lost the apartment. He lost the car. He lost the wife. He lost his pride. For a while, he slept on a friend's couch. Then, when the friend got tired of him, he had to rent a small room in a basement shared with 3 other guys. He had to get a job, a real job, not consulting, not crypto investing. He got a job stocking shelves at a grocery store on the night shift.
About 6 weeks ago, I received a letter. It was handwritten. The envelope was cheap and the stamp was crooked. I sat on my porch, staring at it for a long time. The leaves in my garden were turning gold and brown, signaling the coming autumn. I finally opened it. Dear Mom, I don't expect you to answer this. I don't deserve an answer. I just wanted you to know that I am sorry, not because I lost the money, but because I lost you. I am working at a grocery mart now. My feet hurt every night. I drive a beat-up scooter to work. It's cold.
And every time I feel sorry for myself, I remember you scrubbing floors when I was a kid. I'd never understood what that meant until now. I miss Dad. I miss the front porch. I miss who I used to be. I found Grandpa's cufflinks. I kept them. They are the only thing of value I have left. I love you, Mom. Ethan. I cried when I read it, hot, silent tears that ran down my face and stained the paper. I folded the letter and put it in my Bible. I haven't called him yet. Not because I don't love him. I love him more than breath itself. But because he needs this. He needs to feel the cold. He needs to know that his actions have weight. He needs to become a man, not just a son. I will call him. Maybe at Christmas. Maybe next year. When I know he is ready to build a relationship based on respect, not transaction. As for me, I made some changes. I finally retired from the flower shop. My knees couldn't take the standing anymore. But I didn't sell it. I gave it to the young woman who worked there with me. A single mother named Sarah who has a talent for arrangements but no capital. I signed the deed over to her on a Tuesday afternoon. She cried so hard she hiccuped. It felt good to give to someone who understood the value of the gift. I started a foundation, the Robert and Aurora Initiative. We help elderly people who are victims of financial abuse. We provide lawyers, housing, and support for seniors whose families have taken advantage of them. It keeps me busy.
It gives me purpose. I also treated myself. I sold the 2004 Honda Civic. I didn't buy a Ferrari or a Bentley. I bought a new Honda CR-V. It has heated seats, a backup camera, and that new car smell. It's practical, it's reliable, it's me. My life is quiet now. The apartment is peaceful. The ghosts of the past, Robert's laughter, baby Ethan's cries, still echo in the halls, but they are friendly ghosts. I sit on my balcony in the evenings, watching the city lights flicker on. I own a lot of those lights. I own the buildings, the land, the concrete. But I learned a hard lesson that night in the ballroom. You can own the whole world, but you cannot buy respect, and you certainly cannot buy love. Those things have to be earned, and sometimes, to earn them, you have to be willing to lose everything else. Juliet slapped me to take my keys, but in doing so, she gave me the key to my own freedom. She woke me up, and for that, in a strange, twisted way, I am grateful to her. The outro. That is where my story comes to an end, my dear friends. It wasn't the ending I dreamed of when I held my baby boy in my arms all those years ago, singing him to sleep. We all dream of big, happy families gathering around the Thanksgiving table. But sometimes life has other plans. Sometimes the family tree needs to be pruned so it can grow healthy again. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening to an old woman's tale of heartbreak and redemption. If this story resonated with your soul, if you have ever felt taken for granted
or if you are a parent silently sacrificing for your children, please let me know in the comments. I read every single one of them. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us share more stories like this one. Remember, honey, kindness is not weakness, silence is not stupidity, and never, ever let anyone treat you like you don't matter, even if they share your blood. You are valuable. You are worthy of respect. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I wish you peace in your heart. Until we meet again.